How are you finding yourselves on the path to Nibbana? Do you take a temperature check every day? Where am I on the path? Or is it a once a year thing? Like Christmas? Or is it something you just do for the new year? Because it's a nice to do. A lot of people, they do listen to sermons because it's a nice to do. Don't they? A lot of people go to the temple because it's a nice to do. It's a dumb thing, Again, because to be someone in society, you have to tick all the boxes. Tick all the boxes which indicate to society that you're a good person. So what entails a good person? First, you have to have a good education. Right? This is how society determines if you're a good person. You have to have a good education, so people go through and get themselves a good education. Then you have to have a good job. So what's a good job? Yes, your job. That's a good job. That's the easiest way to do it, right? So whatever job you're doing, that's a good job. I'm not here to make enemies. So you have to get yourself a good job. Then you have to get yourself a good wife or a good husband. You have to then buy yourself a good house or build yourself one. Make some good investments. And generally lead a good life. But among that, people expect you to show that you're a nice person, you're a good person, you're a person that people can associate, get along with. Someone who's not too much of a risk to associate. So what's the best way to show that you're not too much of a risk to associate? Have a religion. Because people have some faith in religion. They may not believe in religion. Some people don't believe in religion, any religion. They're called atheists. But at least they know that someone who's religious, broadly the expectation is someone who is at least minutely religious is generally a good person in society. If you go to the mosque, if you go to the church regularly, if you go to the temple, if you worship the Buddha, if you offer flowers, if you light a candle, it shows that you have a good side to you. So a lot of people do go to the temple to tick that box, so you can appear to society as a good person. Not for any other reason, but because you want to stand out in society as a good person. Because it's only then you are able to have such associations with other people who respect you for that. And it's only then are you able to get them to scratch your back. Again, this is to feed the self. This is to satisfy a very selfish agenda. Some people, they wear lots of piritnul, you will have seen. Quite thick ones as well. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. I'm just saying, if you do it for the wrong purpose, then there's something people, you have to consider. Why do you do it? Of course, there is protection that can be gained by chanting pirit and by wearing a piritnul. There's nothing wrong with that. But sometimes there are people who do it for the show. And I'm sure you'll know some people like that. Not you, of course. People you know. Sometimes a whole several centimeters thick. Just so that when they wave their arm, you can see, oh, they have a piritnul on their hand, so they must be a good person. Some people only dress in white. Again, because these are symbols to demonstrate virtue. Socially accepted symbols to demonstrate virtue. Socially accepted symbols to demonstrate that you are a good person, a kind person. So when you do that, now people are more willing to associate you. And when they do so, you are now able to ask for favors. You're able to get them to do things for you. It's for these reasons. So what we need to consider is how many of such things do we do? Are we using religion, are we using Buddhism for entirely the wrong reasons? Why do you call yourself a Buddhist? Why do you go to the temple? Why do you listen to Bana? What is the purpose? Is it to satisfy somebody else, or is it to achieve something really special? Achieve your goal, your ambition? Is it that, or is it to satisfy somebody else? Tick a box. So you must consider that. Ask yourself and be honest about it. Because no matter who you fool, there's one person you cannot fool. Who is that? Yourself. You can't fool yourself. You know exactly why you're doing something. No matter what the world believes or what you want everyone else to believe, you can't hide it from you. You know exactly why you're doing it. So, it's only yourself you harm, you damage by putting up pretenses. And that can be quite harmful. Because what can happen is, when you start putting up appearances, putting up pretenses, you become the victim of that. The purpose of doing it in the first instance was to get through a certain situation. Because someone expected to see you in that way. This was how society was willing to see you, with a piritnul in your hand, or dressed in white. Just think about this for a moment. How many young boys fall into this trap when they go to the temple? And the other way around as well. Young girls, young boys, teenagers, they go into the temple and then they see other teenagers. So boys see girls, girls see boys. So when they're dressed in white, with some flowers in their hand, maybe standing by an oil lamp, pouring oil into an oil lamp, worshipping the Buddha, immediately, when you look at that girl, when you look at that boy, you're thinking, oh, she's a really good girl. She's very kind, she's very good. And girls would think the same of boys. Because you associate someone who goes to the temple. The temple's a good place, so if someone's at the temple, then that person has to be good. Or you go to the church. The church is a good place, so if someone goes to the church, then that person has to be good. The mosque is a good place, so if someone goes to the mosque, then that person has to be good. You make those associations, those linkages you make in your mind, and you come to conclusions. Then you fall into the trap. Sometimes she or he is the most promiscuous person in town. Indiscriminate relationships left, right and center. But now she's at the temple with a basket, with some flowers in her hands. And then when you look at her, dressed in white, hair tied to the back, flowers in hand, standing by the Buddha statue, what do you feel? Oh, she's a goddess. She's an angel. She has to be a lovely person. Best I should go and get her number, just in case. These are traps people fall into. People actually, some are so conniving that they actually do set up these traps. When a mother is finding it difficult to give a girl's hand in marriage, people do these things. They dress the girl up in white, all nice and neat and tidy, and flowers in hands, and then she takes her to the temple. A couple of evenings a week, and when young boys come along, they get to see this girl, and then before long, she's found herself a partner. Now, mother's problem solved. These things happen in society. Oh, they do. You should know. You live in society. I know because people come and tell me that these are the things that they do. So watch out. Well, no matter what other people do, the question is, do you do such things? If so, then they are wrong. It's not right to do such things. Because now you're using Buddhism as a scapegoat to achieve ulterior motives. Using religion to achieve ulterior motives. And that is incredibly wrong. The consequences of which people will have to suffer. Because you're abusing it. Again, that is desecration. Is it not? All of that falls into Aryapada. Because you're desecrating the Dhamma. That's abusing the Dhamma. Abusing the Buddha. Abusing the Sangha. Abusing religious places of worship. Should never be done. But don't fall into these traps. So, weeks are flying by. I think this is about the 70-something sermon that is happening this week. So that's lots of sermons we've been doing. How are you getting on? Sometimes I feel like a doctor. This is my clinic, opening at 4 o'clock every Sunday. Sometimes new faces, sometimes same patients come to get treatment. Oh, don't you worry, I'm a patient myself. This is why I'm in red. This is the clothes they put you in when they take you into the operation theatre. So my condition is much more serious than yours. You can come and go, this is the OPD, the outpatients department. But my condition is much more severe. I need operation. Right? So don't you worry. I'm in the same boat, except I'm in a worse state than you are. So this clinic opens on Sunday at 3:30, 4 o'clock, and it's open till about 6 o'clock, 6:30. Do you enjoy going to a clinic? Do you enjoy going to clinics? Or would you rather do something else with your time? You should rather do something else with your time, surely. The reason one goes to a clinic is because they're ill, they're sick, they need treatment. This is why I always remind you, this is not a place to come and party. This is not a get-together that we all come along and have a little chat, have something to eat, and say goodbye, let's meet next Sunday. That shouldn't be this place. It shouldn't be, it really shouldn't be. This is somewhere you should come to get treatment. This disease of samsara, raga, dvesha, moha. That is what we are here to treat. So, if you come along and take prescriptions, if you come along and we take your pulse every Sunday, check your heartbeat, put the stet onto your lungs and check how your lungs are working, right? All these things that we check is only so that the week following that, you're able to take your medicines and make some differences in your lifestyle. Get better. Treat yourself. So if you're not doing that, then coming along to these sessions is a waste of time and money. Is it not? It will be if you don't take the time to treat yourselves while you're at home. So how do you check how you're progressing on the path? Think about some of the things you were addicted to. People are addicted to lots of things. What are some of the things people are addicted to? Food. That's number one, right? Food addictions. Some are addicted to chocolate. Some are addicted to pizza. Some are addicted to sweets. Others could be addicted, to lots of things. All types of food people are addicted to. How are your addictions now? Are they getting better or have they worsened? Some people are addicted to other things like pornography. Particularly young people. addicted to pornography. How are those addictions coming along? Is it getting better or is it getting worse? Do you find yourself sitting in front of the computer more so than you used to? Not for the purpose of using it for informational purposes, but for a mind abuse. Sitting in front of that computer, whiling away the hours, watching pornography. People are addicted to that. You will know. You may have children who have such addictions. There are others who are addicted to drugs. There are others who are addicted to watching TV. There are those who are addicted to playing computer games. All of these addictions. Some are addicted to reading books. Some are addicted to going places and traveling. Some are addicted to... The people come up with hobbies. There's nothing wrong with a hobby, but sometimes it can be an addiction. Some are addicted to listening to music. No matter what they do, they've always got their headphones on. They just can't do anything without their headphones on. I know people like that. Even when they're in class, teachers in class teaching something, they've still got their earphones on, headphones on, listening to music. Addictions. How are they coming along? Are they getting worse or are they getting any better? Because no matter what it is you're addicted to, all of these are based in attachment. Attachment to whatever. Because as we discussed last week, if you were here, the way we know about the world is through our eyes, ears, nose, tongue and body. So whatever it is that you are addicted to, whatever hobbies you might have, all of these things are things in the world that you experience through your eyes, ears, nose, tongue and body. There's no other way you can experience that. And the reason that we have such associations, we seek such associations, is because we expect to be pleased, we expect to find pleasure in engaging in such activities. Why does one watch TV? Well, you could say it's because I want to learn about the world. Fair enough. One might say because I need to learn a recipe so I can cook something for lunch. Fair enough. Nothing wrong with that. You have to eat and live and get along in life. But there are others who just sit in front of the TV. Think, have you never done this? Just sat in front of the TV. Just because you had some spare time, switch on the TV and you sat in front of it. You didn't even realize several hours have passed by. You start flicking the channels, one after the other, and then several hours later you realize there was lots of work I was supposed to be doing right now, but all of that was left undone because of your addiction. You're trying to seek pleasure by watching TV. You're trying to seek pleasure by sitting in front of the computer, just browsing away on the internet. Scanning through your photo albums. Some people enjoy that a lot. Going through old pictures, either on the phone or photo albums, whatever. I'm not saying any of these things are bad things to do. They're not. Because they're not one of the unmeritorious deeds. That would be a bad thing. But what I'm saying is, these could become addictions. And if they become addictions, then they are a barrier to your Nibbana. They are a block, they are a hindrance to your Nibbana. Because when you're in Nibbana, you can't be attached to anything, not even the Dhamma. Some people, monks particularly, can attach themselves to the Dhamma. So we have to be careful. Because the thing is, with the Dhamma, the more you study the Dhamma, the more invigorating it can be. It can be so addictive after you start reading the Tripitaka, one discourse after the other. You can be mesmerized by how profound the Buddha's teaching is. Every sutta you read, it's tantalizing. And you just keep going on and on and on and on. Sometimes you forget why you opened the Tripitaka in the first place. So the Dhamma can be addictive as well. Anything can be addictive. Absolutely anything. Sight, sound, smell, taste, touch and the Dhamma can be addictive. So one has to be very careful. Because no addiction is going to get you to Nibbana. All addictions have to cease at the point before Nibbana. So ask yourselves, how are you getting along? Of course, I can't have one-to-one conversations with you, but you can have one-to-one conversations with yourself. How's your past week? What addictions did you foster? What addictions did you give in to? Were there times when you were at home and what you really should have done was perhaps say, do your washing, or sweep the house, or do your homework, but you saw the TV and you thought, let me just go and watch some TV. It was the easy thing to do. You went there, sat down in front of the TV, started watching it. An hour went by, 2 hours went by, 3 hours went by. You just wasted 3 hours of your life. You got nothing out of it, except for Rupa Vedana Sanya Sankhara Vijnana. Arose and passed away. But nothing gained out of those 3 hours. 3 hours that you'll never get back again. 3 hours gone by. You know, the other day when I was speaking to our young monks, I was asking them, what do you think is the biggest hindrance to Nibbana? I was asking them. There were about 15 of them, and asking them, what do you think is the biggest hindrance to Nibbana? So they're coming up with all sorts of answers. Some of them saying, it's Mara. Mara is the biggest hindrance to Nibbana. Another saying it's not having knowledge of the Dhamma. That's the biggest hindrance to Nibbana. So lots of answers coming out. And if I asked you now, what is the biggest hindrance to Nibbana, or practicing the path, then you will also have lots of things to say. Some will say it's work. Others will say it's my wife. Others will say it's my child. Right? Others will say it's my mortgage. It's my credit card. People will have lots of things to say. But I think that's not what our biggest hindrance to Nibbana is. There is one thing that is the biggest hindrance to Nibbana, which is true for all of us. And that is that you haven't been diagnosed with terminal cancer yet. That is the biggest hindrance to Nibbana. You have not yet been diagnosed with terminal cancer. What if you fainted today? You were rushed to the hospital and you got diagnosed with terminal cancer. Which excuse are you now willing to offer? To say, this is why I cannot practice the path. This is why I don't have the time. These are all the duties and responsibilities I have, and therefore I just don't have the time to practice the path. Which excuse are you going to give? Is it your mortgage? Is it your husband? Is it your wife? Is it your child? Which one? Is it that I need 8 hours of sleep? Which one? I know this because a lot of people do come to the monastery. Unbelievable, ladies and gentlemen. It really is unbelievable. How a lot of people come and they want to talk to us. People who came and went, they had no intention of coming and listening to a sermon. Until they were diagnosed with a terminal illness. And when they are, now they want to come and listen to the Dhamma. Now they want to understand the path to Nibbana. Now they don't have time to waste. So these are all people surely that didn't realize that they could die any moment. Before they were diagnosed, what did they think then? I'm not going to die. Not anytime soon, right? That's what they thought. Because otherwise, why is it after someone's been diagnosed with a terminal illness, the very next day they're here, 6 o'clock in the morning.